So recently I made a chart showing the standings progression of Season 1 of Glasscar on Fubeka's marble runs, and as Season 2 of Glasscar has just begun, I thought it would be a good idea to dive into this chart and see what we can learn about the marbles competing in the second season of Glasscar, and see if we can get any glimpses of who may come out on top as we get further in this season. So if you take a look at this chart, there's a lot of data going on here, a lot of lines moving around, but I'm going to break it down for you. So the top two marbles at the start of the season, Nitro and Rattlesnake, they both had a pretty consistent run throughout the entire season. Nitro falling down a little bit at the end there, but Rattlesnake starting in second place in the first race and then finishing off in first place, only losing the lead in the leaderboard once down in race 6. Of course, this was partly due to the fact that Rattlesnake did such an amazing job in the season, but another factor that could be playing in here is the fact that Rattlesnake got second place in the first race, getting a high number of points early on, as well as for Nitro. You see those two top marbles in the first race, and they stayed up in the top for quite a while, is getting a good lead in the first race essential to this season. I'm not sure. And could this mean that Ivory will be in the lead for a major part of this season, if not the winner of this overall season? Well, let's look at Ivory's overall performance in season 1 to see if we can get any results from there. So if you look at the white line in this graph, you can see Ivory starts in 6th place, getting 6th in the first race, and then finishes off in 6th place overall in the season. So no net gains or net loses. But you can see the line here. Ivory was all over the place, going up all the way to 3rd place more than once, and all the way down to 9th at one point, and eventually evening back out at 6th place. So Ivory, according to the last season's data, is not a very consistent racer, and we'll have to see if Ivory can do better in this season, or if the same trends will happen once again, or will the being in first place and having the extra points to her advantage. We'll have to see as the season continues. Also, an interesting note, Rockslide and Volcano in 3rd and 4th place. And in the recent first race of Glasscar Season 2, Rockslide and Volcano finished in the exact same places as they did in the first race of Season 1, in 3rd and 4th place. But as you look at Rockslide and Volcano's data here on the chart, you can see both of these marbles tanked throughout the season and finishes in 11th and 12th place. Will that happen again in this season? We'll have to wait and see. It's too early to call that. But hopefully Volcano and Rockslide can do better in this season, and possibly Volcano could do better if he does not have any accidents. He did have an accident in one of the races in the previous season, flying off the track and getting a DNF. Could that have possibly caused this rapid decline for Volcano all the way from 3rd down to 11th in the end of the season? So then we have Nitro. Nitro finished in 2nd place in the first race of Season 2, and in Season 1 he finished in 1st place, and then he fell down the second as Rattlesnake took the lead for most of the rest of the season in Season 1. But the interesting note here, Nitro seems to be a pretty consistent racer, being in 2nd place for 4 races in a row in Season 1. Will he be able to hold 2nd place in this season? We'll have to see as well, and possibly set himself up for a good chance at taking the overall season as time progresses. And now let's take a look at Rattlesnake. Rattlesnake finished 2nd in the first season on the first race, and then in the second race took the lead for 4 races in a row, then lost its Canarium in the 6th race, and then gained it back in the 7th and 8th races, and eventually took the title. But in race 1 of Season 2, Rattlesnake finished in 5th, so he doesn't quite have the early boost in points that he did in the first season, so it's going to be a little bit harder for him to catch back up and get in top spots. We'll have to see how he performs in the upcoming races, because as each race goes along, it gets harder and harder for the bottom marbles to climb their way up back to the top of the standings. And that's definitely one thing that Rattlesnake is going to have to deal with as this season progresses. And also, a quick note about Canarium here, finishing in 8th place, starting in 8th place in Season 1 and then finishing off in 5th. A pretty good gain, but Canarium made it all the way to 1st place in the 6th race and then fell down to 5th in the final 2 races. And that's very unfortunate, but quite a performance by Canarium. If only she had held the lead for those final 2 races, she could have been the champion. And as we've seen in first race of Season 2, she was the pole sitter, but it didn't play out very well. She finished in 9th place in the first race. And so it's going to be very difficult for her to catch up. But if you look at the chart, though, Canarium starting off in 8th place in the first race and the second race of Season 1, and then she had a major spike. We'll have to see if she can pull that off once again in Season 2. Keep an eye on Canarium for sure. And now let's take a look at a couple more marbles on this graph and see if there's anything else worth mentioning as of now. Rainforest being a pretty consistent racer, starting off in 5th, finishing in 3rd on the podium, so within 2 places from start to finish. And there wasn't very much fluctuation like we saw with Ivory or Canarium, so that's a good one to place your bets on. And then you have Dragon's Tail starting in 11th, making it all the way to 9th. He could have gotten down to 7th, but he did fall down in that final race. And then Penguin, who has the largest gain over the entire series, starting off in 12th place from the first race and then not making it past that until the 4th race, where he finally gained 1 place and then another in the 5th race, and then he started gaining quite a bit and finished off in 7th, so halfway up the leaderboard in the second half of the standings. Even though he wasn't quite up there in the top half, he still went quite a bit up the standings and had a good performance in the second half, even though he had a DNF in one of the races. So if he can have a good footing at the beginning of this season, he may be able to pull something crazy off. Another marble worth mentioning, Angel, starting off in 7th place, then going down all the way to 9th in the second race, and then having a big spike all the way up to 4th for a little bit. And she's kind of a crazy inconsistent racer, kind of like Ivory and Canarium, but she did end up finishing in 2nd place in Season 1, and that is definitely a good title to hold. And we'll have to see if her inconsistency can just pull her out just enough to get up in the top of the leaderboard in Season 2. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know if you want me to make more analysis videos like this as the season of Glasscar continues on Fubeca's Marble Runs. Don't forget to subscribe to Fubeca's Marble Runs and stay tuned for more races on Glasscar 2023. And I'll be the commentator there, of course, and I will see you there.